Hello everyone and welcome to week 13. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and just a chance to relax hopefully with your families and eat a lot of turkey. We are now in week 13, so we only have a few more weeks left of the class, and this week we're covering chapter 11, which is groups and individuals. So let's just run through what you're going to expect for the week. We have our to-do list here as usual, and here is the chapter objectives for chapter 11. This is a pretty popular chapter, mainly because it covers one of the most popular studies, that which is the Stanford Prison Study. So actually, in the Stanford Prison Study, we're going to be looking at a lot of group dynamics, but again, it's going to piggyback on a lot of things that we've already covered earlier in the semester, especially when we talked about social cognition and how people think in terms of stereotypes. That's going to play into this as well, because when we get into a group setting, all of a sudden we have roles, we have a status, and we have norms that we may or may not adhere to. So here's getting into a little bit of the chapters that we just covered when we took a look at social influence back in, what was that, chapter 8. We looked at social influence and the ways in which we conform, we obey, pressures that we feel, and why we would want to be cohesive as a group. So I think it's really going to be helpful as you're reading through this chapter to go back and touch on any of those elements, maybe even just peek at the lecture slides from those topics, so that would help you to see the bigger picture of how all of those individual elements come into play when it is in a group setting. So with that being said, here are all the objectives. Here's the article reading, which is the Stanford Prison Study. You're going to be reading about the original study done by Zimbardo. But then, so number one is I want you to read this first, because then we have a video of it. This is the original video of the Stanford Prison Study. It's about 50 minutes long, but I'd love for you to have an understanding of it by reading the article and how the experiment was set up, the different elements and all of that, before you then watch the video. And then I found a really cool video with Phil Zimbardo talking about sort of lessons learned in doing the study. As you're going to see, the study ended early, a lot earlier than expected. Why was that? And what were some really important insights that were gained by looking at groups within this prison setting and looking at roles and group behavior. So he talks a little bit about some of that, and then I just give you some questions to consider. These should help you make sure you're getting the key pieces from the video that I want you to get. And then lastly, just two other videos. They're quick ones. This one's about 4 minutes, and it deals with social facilitation and social loafing, both two concepts discussed in the chapter reading. And these are things that can happen, individual behavior that can happen when we're in group situations. And then you're going to remember this video back from when we looked at conformity. It's the same video, but you're going to be focusing more on the latter half of the video, which deals with groupthink. So it talks first about conformity, which we've already discussed, but lays the groundwork then for how conformity sets us up for groupthink. So like the last, 3 minutes of the video covers this phenomenon called groupthink, and how this occurs, how this happens, and why it's detrimental, which is the key thing. So those are the videos for the week. That pretty much brings us up to speed. If you'll notice on your syllabus, just looking ahead a little bit, Next week, we're going to be covering the very last chapter in the book, which is chapter 12, talking about adversity and happiness. And then the very last week of classes, you don't have any chapter reading. Rather, I'm going to have a video assignment for you and your last test. And that's pretty much going to wrap up the week. All right, well, that's where we're at. I hope everyone got some rest in over the last week and is ready to finish up just the remainder of the semester that we have. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.